Everybody. My name is Stephanie Rank, and I am your host here for this podcast, Next Step Career Corner, where we talk about leadership, parenthood, job searching strategies, resumes, everything that we need to survive in today's world, and to support our families or just support ourselves, depending on your situation. So very, very excited to have with me today Margaret Phares. She's the Executive Director of PARC. So Margaret, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, that is how I introduce myself. My name is Margaret Phares. I'm the Executive Director of the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. And I am also an entrepreneur, and I'm a mom of 3 adult, like rudely old adult children. And and I hope to become even a more active in my community. And I actually find that that's a challenge as a working woman. So.
Right? Yeah, you want to do all these things. I've seen some coaching frameworks where they talk about your spokes of life, and it is like community service, family life, work, nutrition, fitness. I want to say I've seen up to like 10 spokes. It's crazy trying to balance all of that.
Some days I can only handle one spoke.
Right?
Some days it's just a spoke. I feel
That
good
is, yep, it's one thing. My rule is 3 tasks for the day. If I can get 3 tasks done, I'm happy.
I think 3 is a little ambitious, and
Yeah,
it depends on
well,
the day.
yeah, that is true. But you know me, I'm an overachiever, so.
You really are. You are. And thank you for having me today. I have, I told everybody on a meeting I was just in that I have only casually been dropping hints for many, many weeks. How's the podcast going, Steph? Need anyone for the podcast?
Oh, you know I was going to tap
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So what I want to talk a little bit today is your history, because things have changed, right? Gaps on resumes, big deal, not a big deal. We've talked about women going back into the workforce. Like how does that, we had the whole pandemic when women took time off to take care of their families, and then dealing with the comeback of that. So I know things have changed at least in the last 5 years. So give us an outline of your history. What did you do for work or parenting? How did you manage all of that?
So I started out of college in the late 80s, right? And so times were so different then. And the interesting part about it was because it was literally, we bought a house before we knew that was a dumb thing to do. So we, sorry, our lunch was delivered. So he was chatty. So we bought a house before we knew that was a dumb thing to do. We didn't have jobs. We had, so we bought a house. I needed a job. And I, had my fresh out of college degree in its pretty frame. And I got a job writing for an association magazine of the pulp and paper industry, the Paper Industry Management Association. I wrote for their magazine, and I did association services on the side. And I actually have always really appreciated the concept of an association, the concept of a group that comes together to support everybody to make everybody better, right? So, and that's really where I got to see it happen in real time. So from there, we had a mess of children. We had my very rudely old children. And I was really lucky that the company that my spouse worked for at the time was really supportive of me being a community volunteer and really contributing to the community. And I think that has been probably one of the things that has taught me the most through the years, working with different types of people, working with volunteers, working with in different circumstances and situations. A lot of not-for-profits, they don't have a budget. The budget is what you can come up with. So it's really kind of creating those opportunities, I think, has given me a lot to draw from in my current role for sure. And we had to make a decision as a family what was right for us. And we decided we wanted to create a situation where our children could have opportunities and where we could live where we wanted to live and have kind of the lifestyle that we wanted to have. And I do have to say that that has worked in part. I am at the beach far less than I would hope,
That
but
wasn't the goal in the beginning.
but here we are, and yeah, it's been a ride. It's been a ride.
Yeah. So if you were talking to, let's say, a young mother, they're in their late 20s, early 30s, they have little ones at home. I know a lot of moms struggle with staying home or working, right? And not everybody has the opportunity to stay home. And there are women that are just can't stay home. I was one of those women. I much preferred being busy and working and doing all of those things. Um, what advice would you give for a young mom staying home that wants to get back into the workforce?
I find I find the dichotomy of stay at home and working mom is so challenging. You and there's it doesn't matter. You're never right.
Mm-mm.
You're never right. If you stay home, then you're giving up your career. And if you work, then, oh, you have a. So, my advice is to stop listening to everybody else and decide what is right for you and your family, period, at full stop. And the conversation ends with, and this is the decision that we made. And understand that you can change that at any time because if there was one right answer, we would all do that, right? And if that answer was right for the rest of time, we wouldn't have to make any decisions about how we live our life, but we do. So you always assess and just turn off everybody who says anything else about how you're parenting, how you're managing, and how you're living your life.
Yeah.
That's my advice for young moms.
And that can be very tough, from social media influence to your own parents' commentary. It can be very, very tough to turn off those voices. Yeah,
For
I've
sure.
I've I've seen it all. I've seen moms that are guilted into staying home and they feel the need to defend themselves. And then I have been criticized for wanting to work. So you're never right. You're just never, never right.
So
Especially when
stop
they're young.
trying. So
Yeah,
stop
you're
trying.
okay. Yeah, you're okay. It's fine. Okay, so you took some time off and you volunteered. Did the volunteer work help you when you re-entered the workforce? Like, how did it help you?
For sure. It would be really hard to step away for as long as I was able to, and come back into the workforce with any kind of skill set. I mean, times change faster and faster and faster. So
Mhm.
the skills you need, think about like even 5 years ago, the skills that you had 5 years ago are sometimes just not even relevant now. So you really have to be able to embrace all of the opportunities that are given to you. And that includes silly little things like knowing how to set up your email signature. Like that's not something I had to do when I stopped working. Email wasn't really a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to think about how like the skills you need change. So those physical skills, but also those like interpersonal skills. We communicate differently now than we used to. When I started working with my very fresh, shiny, fancy degree from a fancy school, I still had men who asked me to get them drinks at my job. So it's not the same now. And we need to stand in that moment where we're not who our mothers were. We're not even who maybe our sisters were. We're we're living in a different way. And I think volunteering helped me kind of see where we can elevate ourselves because
Mhm.
you're also a volunteer. So I loved that about that. And you're working with like-minded people, so it's so collaborative and knowing that was what I wanted to create in a business is that collaborative effort, I think make me a better fit for Park for sure.
Right, right. So when you went back to work, do you have any advice for working moms, especially if because you've been a leader as well, like how do you balance trying to grow in your career as well as being a good mom?
Oh my gosh, that's the hardest thing ever. It is
Hmm.
so hard, and I think every woman out there, whether you're a mom of two-legged children or four-legged children, or you're a caretaker in any way, I think you're always pulled. And I don't know if that'll ever change culturally away from the woman being the emotional provider, like we're the carriers of the emotional burden of care. Is that maybe that's not how I want to say that, but I think that is really, really challenging, and it has taken a lot of personal discipline that I actually don't really have. I've
Hmm.
had to really force myself to say, this is a time where I need to tend to my family. And your work is always there. And so sometimes I say I'm not going to check my email after 10, but sometimes it does happen. I say I'm not going to check my emails on the weekend, it happens. So the balance I think is always challenging. And the hardest part is forgiving myself when I feel like I've fallen short in either direction.
Yeah.
There's a great it was a great story from a podcast, and I wish I could remember who the actress was, but she was she called her friend and she said my car was stolen, and her friend's like, "Oh my God, what are you gonna do?" And she said, "I'm not taking that on." And her friend's like, "What do you
Wow.
mean you're not taking that on? Your car was stolen." She's like, "I'm not taking that on." And there are a lot of days where I'm like, "I'm not taking that on. I'm not
Yeah.
taking that on today. That's a problem for tomorrow." And it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not. There's no answer for me there. I don't know. I still struggle.
Yeah, I think we all struggle, even if we look polished and put together. Um, so I own my own business. I've always worked, and I have found, especially owning the business, that my hours vary. And so there are Sundays afternoon that I'm preparing for the week, and people could say it takes into my family time, but it's the time my husband takes my son golfing or they're sitting there playing a video game. And so I had to come to terms with myself of like, it's okay that I go spend 2 hours doing emails or preparing for the week if they're doing something on their own. But the minute they invite me to join, I go and join them, right? Because that's a value that I've had to work on. But I'm a little bit of a workaholic, and I think that that can also be an issue where we're just thinking about things and working on things and doing things, and then it's like, oh yeah, I have to stop. And stopping and resting in that moment, very difficult.
I bet
Very
that's
difficult.
something that's really come up for you in this last year while you've been fighting cancer. Like your kind of your situation forced you into that a little
It did.
bit.
It did, and I was really good about it during chemo where I knew the ups and downs. I'm like, "Okay, I'm not gonna be feeling good Thursday and Friday, so I'm not gonna work." Like, I plan those. But now I'm in radiation, and they're telling me that over time, I'll be more and more fatigued, and my doctor lectured me yesterday about taking more time off, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, I can't imagine getting that fatigued where I can't work. But I went in and blocked my calendar just like she told me to, but it gives me anxiety to block my calendar because I know there's so much to do. So,
You are
yeah,
a high energy workaholic. You really are. And we should probably retire the phrase workaholic. You love working. You're
I
passionate about what
do.
you do. So it's not a holic. You just love what you do,
That
and
is,
you bring your
that is
passion
true.
right to it.
Yeah, that is true. We should not say workaholic because when I'm working on stuff, there's very little things that I do for my business that I consider work, like doing the bookkeeping and marketing. Sometimes that can be a little tedious. But if I'm doing client work or I'm doing stuff for Park, I'm engaged and I'm happy about it. And it does give me joy. So maybe that's something women, especially leaders, should think about is do you get joy from the job that you do? there's that mindset
That's
of,
right.
oh, it's a means to an end, a job is a means to an end. I'm not a fan of that mindset because I really believe you can love what you do and then it won't feel like work all
I
the
think
time.
that does make the difference. I think you're very wise to say it that way because a job is one thing and then your career is something entirely different. So
Mhm.
your career should be something that you feel passionate about. Your career shouldn't be just a means to an end. It should be part of your passion, part of what feeds you. And you are totally fed by your clients you serve and the people, the membership of Park. You're always thinking about that. So I love one of the things I love about working with you is that passion that you bring to it.
Oh,
So
thank you. Yeah,
well,
I
thank you,
try.
really.
I try. No, it that kind of leads us into what's going on in the marketplace right now.
Ooh, it's tough.
Through It's tough. It is a
Yeah.
tough job market, and we can sit here and speculate what's going to happen. I think we need to be prepared as a career coach. That's my viewpoint. But nice thing about Park is being able to talk to other members who are also in the same industry. And it's across the board, it's across the industry. Some people, I mean, they're not hearing from clients at all. Some people are still just as busy. And so some of that collaboration and understanding the job market and what's coming is also very helpful. So that's what I love about Park and those members that are listening right now. I think that's the biggest value Park has is that community and that building that together. Um, but yeah, it is. So, ladies, gentlemen, whoever you are, be prepared for a long job search. That's coming from all of us. It's going to take a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's going to be a rough it's going to be challenging waters for a little bit here and we're not going to know what it looks like and anybody can speculate and we had a great ask me anything that you and your colleague Mark put together for especially to discuss like the changes in the federal workforce. And one of
Yes.
my favorite comments was from one of our members, Allison Bomeister, said, she's like, we're not going to know. We're just not going to know. The courts will have to be involved. There'll be all sorts of things happening. We're not going to know. And I think it is that there's not anything predictable here. So it's going to be very hard for people to navigate this job market. And I fear for a lot of job seekers. Um, and I am humbled every day by the work that our membership does, career coaches, resume providers, interview coaching. It's just going to be so important to have that partnership for a job seeker going forward. I can't imagine doing it without, I can't imagine navigating this market without a partner in that way.
Yeah,
So
and that is a big thing that I believe in because you can have a resume that works for a little bit. You can have a LinkedIn that's static. You could learn some interview skills, but the ups and downs of networking and applying and getting rejected or making that interview and not getting the offer, I mean, that it's a lot of mental pull. And my check-ins are tactical. Like I meet with my clients every other week when I work with them long term. And I'll have some tactical, like, okay, let's try this, or let's do this, or let's update your resume with this information. But at the same time, a lot of it's motivational and just confidence building because you are not, how do I put this? Just because a job doesn't work out doesn't mean you're less, right? Like it just wasn't a good
so
fit.
true. That is
Mhm.
so true. And I think that the ability to share that information to uplift somebody who's in a position of looking for a job, I think that's huge. And I know I hear it often from resume writers that as soon as they've written somebody's resume, that the person they've written for is like, I didn't know I was this great.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
really like a lot of people like hiding their light under a bushel, but a resume writer, or a good coach, they're like, no, you shine your light out. let's elevate it. Let's put it
Yes.
front and center.
Yes, and sometimes it's just the language because us resume writers, we know how to write, we know vocabulary, we know how to make it sound really sharp. But yeah, having it written out, I did this and I did this and I accomplished this. It really is a
It,
confidence boost.
it's a lot.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a lot.
It is
And
huge, and a lot of our members care about that.
I think this would be a challenging industry to be in if you didn't care about the people that you're serving, and it's, which is why in some ways when I fuss about like, oh, get into the office, whatever, but I'm working with people who are so passionate about what they do and that what they do is helping other people. It is really exciting to be a part of an industry that is this giving, this smart, like, okay, Stephanie, you can just sit down for a minute. Okay, listen.
Okay.
If you are looking for a job and you're hiring a resume writer and they don't know anything about your industry, they'll go find it out. It's nuts. They know crazy information about even the most technical, crazy job out there. They know it all because they have done the work to research it. It's I am just blown away all the time by the passion and the commitment that it takes to write for other people in this way. It's such a skill and such a who was it? Wendy Anelo said it's an art and a science, and it's like the two parts have to come together to create what you do,
Yeah.
and that's really unique.
Yeah. So if you're out there looking for a career coach or resume writer, what I tell everybody is make sure they are certified. Make sure they're a certified professional resume writer, certified professional career coach, or any of those certifications out there, but check out that they're legitimate. You don't want there are scammers out there. I mean, there really are. And you pay money and you get crap. And then I see it as a legitimate resume writer career coach. And then I'm going, oh, I'm so sorry, but you have to start
I
from scratch.
know.
And that's the worst part. But make sure they're certified and educated. Ask them how they're staying on top of modern tactics and strategies because it changes all the time.
What advice would you give somebody? Because I hear it a lot. Like, I can write my own resume. One, you probably, unless you're a resume writer, you can't. But I mean, I get it. You think you can. But what should people be looking for when they're hiring? Like, how do they know if they need a writer or a coach, or how do they know what they need? I guess is what
That
I
is
think
that
is
is
a
a good
good
question.
question.
So the how do I put this? If you know what you want, right? You know the type of job, you know the industry, facts like I want this, this, and this, and you're set. You could work with a resume writer and talk about your resume, cover letters, bios, LinkedIn's. I mean, there's so many things you can come up with, but getting those documents and your brand would be really helpful, and a writer could do that. If you are unsure of any aspect of your job search, that's where a career coach can come into play. They can help you through assessments, talking, they can help you identify with research, what's out there, what's hiring, what's not hiring. And the interviewing can be super helpful. Not all resume writers are trained in interviewing, and not all career coaches are trained in
That's
interviewing.
true.
So you do want to make sure they have that component in their background. But that's where, some of the strategy and the tactics can come into play. And the unique thing about my job search program is it combines all of that. So branding, writing, networking, all of the things are there. And then those check-ins, because it's the motivational factor. Like, how do I keep you going? I mean, I have some people it's been well over 6 months. Not my favorite to say, because I have a much higher average or a lower average getting people hired quicker, but because of the job market currently, it's just taking a long time. So yeah, it is very much, if you don't know, talk to a coach. If you're very solid, resume writer could be enough. But then always check for those credentials, check for professional development, their education. There are a lot of good writers out there. There are a lot of good coaches out there. But if it's been over 10, 15, 20 years since they took a certification, I don't know if they're necessarily on top of modern things. I took an interview class recently. Oh my gosh, so much had changed. Like I learned all about AI interviews, video interviews I knew about, but like some of these things where I'm like, this is people are literally having to record a video and then AI is assessing it and then it's going to the recruiter. That's a whole different way to prepare somebody than before, than a couple years ago. So
Yeah, that quick change AI is the perfect example of it. That
yes,
change that happened so quickly. We weren't even talking about AI 5 years ago. It wasn't a
no,
blip on our radar, and now here we are. It's everything. It is.
it's everything.
It's everywhere. So yeah, it really is. That video interview thing. I just think that's
It's
I really
awful.
do. I I would definitely like be, hello, interview coach. I need help.
Yeah,
I would be terrified.
right, right. It is. I find it very, very weird. It's just very weird. But I get it. People are trying to be faster and more efficient and do their job. And when you have hundreds of applicants per job, okay, you need some way to filter them out. But human touch is still where it's at. Like if you can just talk to somebody, you're going to learn way more than a 30-second video.
So much. And I would hope that AI isn't eliminating qualified candidates, but I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
There's pros and cons. There are
Sure.
pros and cons, right?
I interviewed
Uh-huh.
hiring managers a couple of years ago. I had a feature in Spotlight. We did Ask a Hiring Manager, and one of my questions was always about applicant tracking systems, ATS. So I said, does ATS eliminate qualified candidates in the same way it brings you candidates? And the answer across the board was probably so. And
Yeah.
I worry about AI doing the same thing, but what you have to do is not worry about it. What you have to do is react proactively and work with somebody who knows how it works. So yeah,
Yes.
it really does matter how recently you've been trained. It really does make a difference. And not even trained, but educated. And that includes like the work that you do as a professional. You attend seminars, well, you create seminars, you attend
Yeah.
seminars, conferences, and the like. And sorry, phone ringing. Not happening right now, dog. So I am a working mom. So anyway, yeah. So but you and other people do like attend different events and participate in things. And I do think that it's an opportunity that associations give, and not just Park's not the only reputable association in the space. And I'm going to give some flowers to a couple other people. NRWA, I think they are an ethical association. Career Thought Leaders, I think they're an ethical association. So when you're looking, do I think you should look at Park first? Yeah, absolutely. But if we're not a fit for you, find your fit. Find the people
Yes.
who can help elevate you as a professional. And I think that's true in every profession, not just career services. I think that's true for everybody. Find the association that lifts you up, and that's true also in your emotional life. Find the people who lift you up. So find the people who support you and make you better and give you what you need as a person to be the most successful you can be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And I will say, moms everywhere, if you have a gap or you don't have a gap, professional development in any industry is huge. There might be some free trainings, there might be some certifications or certificates of completion. Like you have options. You have options. So,
So
especially if
many.
you have a gap. Yeah. So, if you have a gap, go learn about that skill, right? Like AI came on the scene, and now there are so many AI courses that you can take. So, if you've never touched it before, or you're scared of it, or oh my gosh, it's going to take over my job, you can always go and take these classes to see how you can better your skill sets and maybe change.
Well, we talk about social media sometimes in a negative way. We talk about it like, oh, the pressure of social media, but it allows us the opportunity to reach so many more people than we could have reached without it, so that you have opportunities to learn and grow, even if you are home full time and up to your eyeballs in bluey and diaper changes and all of those things. You still have opportunities for learning no matter where you are in your career, whether it's a break, either for child raising or illness or
Caregiving.
yeah, caregiving for sure, or relocation. Like, we moved a lot for my husband's job, so it was nice that I could grow no matter what community we were in. And it's even easier now, I think, because the opportunities to reach out are so available. And it's really magic if you think about it. I can talk to somebody around the world in minutes. And I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. If you use it, yeah. I mean, there's healthy ways and there's unhealthy ways. So as long as you're using it healthy. And there are plenty of groups on social media, local groups, associations, whatever you want to call them, where I joined a women's networking group for entrepreneurs.
I did too.
It's fun, super fun. I just joined another group for women leaders in Idaho. So I'm going to attend my first event in a couple weeks, but I mean, you can find it. So it doesn't matter where you're at in your career. It doesn't matter if you're a leader or an individual contributor or not working at all. There's ways to continue learning. And with the change that's happening at the rate that it's happening, it's important to stay in touch with those skill sets that you enjoy.
It really is. And it's those connections that can really help you stay growing and being like the best version of you, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour. So to wrap up, what would your advice be for the day? Any tidbits?
Okay. For my mom friends out there, okay, I'm about to sound like a 1950s housewife. The best stain remover, hands down, Fell's naphtha soap. I said it. But as a lady of a certain age, I am 58. I think I'm 58 this year. If there is something that you want to do, don't wait. Don't wait. You can start and change your mind, and all of that's okay. It's all okay. But start now. You don't have to wait for anything. Yeah,
Nope.
that's my advice.
Well, Margaret, thank you so much for joining me today.
I only dropped 1,000 hints to be on your pods.
I'm so glad you're here. And I get to see you in less than a month in Chicago at our own Thrive conference. So
our Thrive conference is my favorite part of the year. It as soon as I get there, up like this month, I'm like stressed, but when I get there, it's all good. And I guess that's a good metaphor too. When you're stressed, you'll get there, and it's all
you'll get there one day at a time. All right, everybody, have a good day.
All right, have fun, everybody.